Wakili Ruth Tanui. Let's get more feedback from our socials. Anne from Kiambu says, I fear leaving because my husband provides everything for the children. What legal protection is there for mothers afraid of becoming homeless after leaving abuse? Wanjiku from Thika says, families sometimes tell women to endure for the sake of marriage. How do you know when enduring becomes dangerous, Wakili? Sharon says, if someone reports domestic violence and later forgives their partner, can they still seek protection again if the violence returns? All right, that is Sharon. Thank you so much for that question. Akinyi says, I watched my mother suffer abuse growing up and it affected me deeply. What impact does domestic violence have on children who witness it? And we also have the final feedback this morning. David from Machako says, what should someone do immediately after being assaulted at home, especially if they fear the abuser may attack again? Wakili, let's start from that particular point. What should somebody do immediately when the assault, occurs? And how many hours is considered late? I'm looking at, there's 24 hours after the abuse, we have 48 hours, we have 72 hours after the abuse. So what should somebody do immediately when the assault happens?
So, first of all, I would advise safety first. I think you should make sure first go to a safe place. It can either be a friend's place or a relative's place, or even just a public place whereby you feel more safe. And then secondly, the way you said evidence is very important. Yeah. So the second option can be, depending on the circumstances, you can go to the police. You go and report it. Reporting in the police, that's evidence. That's already evidence. And also you report to the police that you're in danger. You're in danger based on these circumstances. Normally, of course, the way you've just said is just that these things are not fully implemented, because the normal circumstance based on the idea or the vision of this act was when you walk into a police station, you go to the gender-based violence desk, and they will have they're supposed to take you now to the safe house. You're supposed to, but right now there are some safe houses that even I think Njeri, the one who has the Usikimia, I think there are safe houses that are, those most are privately owned. So those are, I would advise first of all, safety first. Safety first. Find a place where you're safe. Then secondly, go and report to the police. Don't forget also taking photographs is important, especially where there's assault. Maybe you have, it's important to take photographs in your phone. That's the best way. Just using your phone, that's already enough evidence that you can present before court. So long as you can just prove that was your phone that you used. And then going to the police, and then the next thing also I would advise going to the health center. It's important. So the best thing, they have said, it's just not changing those clothes that you are in, especially where there's sexual harassment, any attack in any way. Don't change those clothes that maybe you had first. So that at least by the time you go, they normally take those clothes and are part of the things that they'll use as evidence in a health facility. Normally it's supposed to be automatic when you go to the police. They're supposed to be the one to guide you to the health center. I think Nairobi Hospital has a 24-hour support system for gender-based violence if you're undergoing it. I think, Nairobi Hospital has one. But unfortunately, it's the Nairobi Hospital. What about now someone maybe in Meru, in Busia? Yeah, that's the sad bit. So that's why, but anyway, we can work with, so that's the best thing I can advise. Go to a police station. They're the ones supposed also to help with taking you to a health facility. Okay. Yeah, those are some of the things I can advise someone, especially now for him, he has made it clear. And then after that, don't forget also you can seek now the orders, interim orders, because I think this person also said if you are scared the abuser might still come back. Like it's a danger that has not already been vacated. So that's another thing. File an application in the nearest magistrate court seeking for interim orders, and normally court will give orders preventing this person from coming anywhere close to you. And these orders can be served through, you make sure when these orders, I normally advise people when you have such serious orders where you're preventing someone to do something, make sure serve it to the nearest police station, even though the order does not say that. It's very important, and have a contact so that in case anything happens, the police are aware. So it can be an easy thing. In case anything happens, the police are aware there are orders for this person not to come close to you. Yeah.
All right. What happens now when somebody violates a protection order?
Yeah, so violation of protection order, according to the Act, there are two courts. First of all, you can be arrested for violating court orders. Secondly, the other second option, you can be fined. And surprisingly, the fine, you can be fined 100,000, or convicted, sometimes court can do both. Fine you the 100,000 and you can go to jail for at least 12 months, 1 year, for a year. Yeah, which I feel is not that stringent in my opinion.
Yeah.
Considering what is involved. You know, some people, I think, especially people who are perpetrators, I feel there are people, someone even can be okay with paying the 100,000, especially if they are financially capable.
Yeah.
Someone even can, you know, and people have Kenya, you know, Kenya, there sometimes people feel they have the connections, they can ensure they are not taken to, they are not taken to, they are not sued. Or sorry, they are not imprisoned for the 1 year.
Yeah.
I feel it's not that stringent enough. I think it should be made to even like 1 million to make it deterrent in a way. Because now, if you know, if I break this order, I only pay 100,000. Will you not be for someone who is financially capable? They will feel it's not. As opposed to if I'm to even 1 million, or they give an estimate 1 million to 10 million. You know, that will deter someone.
Yeah.
Be like, if I do this, I can be. And then the imprisonment also should be a good number of years. Because 1 year, someone can be like that. I don't feel that is that stringent enough for me to deter me. Yeah, anyway, but those are the consequences according to the act when someone goes against the protection order.
Wakili, what happens, you know, after somebody has reported a case? And I know this is something that a lot of people might be wondering about. Okay, I've reported about it. Then do I go home? Do I continue with my life? What happens immediately after I reported this case?
Yeah, so depending, if you have, let's say for instance, let me talk about now maybe civil. You know, there are two circumstances. You might have reported to the police, or maybe you have filed a case in court. So if you have reported a case to, let's say for instance, now even the police, normally depending on the circumstances, if of course it's a situation that you cannot go, it's advisable of course not to go back to the same situation. Sometimes of course there's you know, we can't also assume everyone has a place to go. We normally like advise, anyway, that's why the safe houses were created. That's why for anyone who maybe was reported this, that's the place they're supposed to go to. And if not, me, of course I would advise maybe going to a family member that you trust, or going to, like, for instance, like going to basically just a place that you feel safe. Yeah. Is
it guaranteed that a protection order will guarantee somebody's safety, you know, that they won't be abused anymore? Is safety guaranteed?
No, unfortunately not. I won't lie to you, because remember, if court has already granted the order, yeah, you have the order. It's a piece of paper. You've been told you have protection orders, and now you'll be dependent on, remember, you'll depend on maybe the police, maybe for them to effect it. So sometimes there are situations where someone has a protection order and this person breaks it, and now it becomes, now you find this person might sometimes even get away with it, because now if someone has broken an order, you have to go back to court filing for contempt, like this person has gone against a court order, that was a direct court order. So that's why I feel there are no, as much as it's a good move, a good step, I don't think there are serious measures that have been brought in regards to this, because I feel they are saying, I compared with small claims, because you know, small claims, they took it so serious, they even gave timelines, supposed to be within 2 months the case is done. I feel the same thing should happen with domestic violence. Like, there should be a timeline of when someone files, there should be clear procedures of what happens when this happens. You know, when, for instance, this thing is done within a short span of time, there should be clear guidelines on when the order has already been protected, who is supposed to assist in effecting it. These are domestic violence abuse. Maybe have dedicated police desks, or even the way there's land fraud section, whereby that's their role. Whenever someone has an order, that's their role to ensure that this person, if this person is, even like reliable call centers whereby someone can call if someone is going against the order. Someone even said, I think we borrowed this, normally most of our laws are borrowed. So I think you find most of we infect laws in a system whereby the judiciary is not sensitized on it. Now you see, for instance, right now, where basically quote unquote laws do not work. So that's why you find, as much as on paper the act looks very efficient and everything, but on implementation is where the problem comes in. So you find someone has a protection order, yes, but now especially if it's a person who doesn't have enough financial resources, and then you're going against a person who has very, very high financial resources. So what happens in such a scenario? Because now if you go, and remember, when someone goes against the order, you have to prove to court this person has broken the order, gone against the order. So sometimes it takes time before this happens. This person might have a very good lawyer who can come and try and support the, like, of course, go against whatever you're saying. So to answer your question, I don't think protection orders are effective enough the way they should.
All right, and what you're talking about has, you know, just taken me back to one of the feedback that we got, and it was Sharon from Kitengela. She was saying, if someone reports domestic violence